Welcome everybody to another episode of Paranormal Saloon. I am your host Jay Hill, and I think last night I had Haley Oversight on, and my my audio really sucked. I put the wrong audio thing on, and it just wasn't. So we have a great show tonight. A couple people from Paraflix actually that are going to be joining us in just a second, and um, talking about their program or their pilot that they have on Amazon as well as Paraflix. So yeah, without further ado, let's get these two cats in here and get going. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing pretty good.
How are
Doing
you?
pretty good.
Good. Yeah. So, um, y- Regina, you had contacted me and you wanted to come on the show, and I am greatly appreciative of that. I love to meet new people, and I just anything remotely close to the paranormal or thereof, is in my wheelhouse. So, I want to thank you for that. And Lee, I'm excited to hear a little bit about your experiences with this new pilot as well as Regina's. So why don't you can take turns, introduce yourself and let my viewers and my listeners know who you are and what you got going on.
Go ahead, Lee.
Well, my name is Lee. I've been paranormal investigating since 2012. That was the first time that I ever really did. Grew up in a haunted house, had a lot of things happen, didn't really understand it until later on in life. So when I started doing it, people were telling me, once you start doing it, you're going to learn and see a lot more that's around you that's already there, which they've been totally correct. Since then, I've learned that I do have some empathic abilities, and I'm trying to broaden those. And started a paranormal team in 2019. It had its up and down, just like any paranormal team. Learned a lot in the process, and somewhere in there, I met Regina, and that's when things really started to take off. So,
Yay.
yeah,
Are you done?
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll bring down the curtain next time, Regina.
I didn't want to talk over you.
No. You're good.
Hi, my name's Regina. I've been a paranormal investigator going on, this is my 14th year.
Wow.
Um, have always believed in spirits, have seen things as a child, and did not realize that I was an empath until I was an adult. Um, my paranormal curiosity became more relevant about 15 years ago. My sister committed suicide and she started coming to me in dreams.
Wow.
3 years later, my dad passed away from lung cancer and he started contacting me too. And I realized that there was more to this human form and that there is a spiritual side to it. So I grabbed two of my best friends and we started a paranormal team and have had many, many adventures along the way. Um, Decided to try our hand at a new type of paranormal TV show. I had known Lee for a while and asked him to join, and that started our adventure together.
Nice.
Are you done?
So remember, folks, this is not scripted. So no, no. So it's amazing that from what you were just saying, what you've gone through with the loss of life, and that in itself is a lot to handle, and
Mhm.
for you to kind of go into the whole paranormal aspect of it, um, that's admirable. I mean, it's I've been doing it for a while now as well, and yeah, it's just amazing on some of the things that you can come across. And with this new show that you have, can you talk a little bit about the premises of how the idea came about and where you plan on taking that or want to take that.
Well, of course, we'd love to take it to any network that will help fund it because
Right.
anybody who has ever tried to produce a TV show on your own, because we are self produced, it does take a lot of money and a lot of time. The premise of the show, and this was an idea that came to me during the pandemic, is there's lots of different people that communicate with spirits in different ways. Why are we all not working together for a common goal to find common answers? So
Hmm.
I approached one of my very close friends, Chris, who owns Creep Street Productions, and gave her the idea, and she loved it. And we've kind of run with it. We've got a great cast of people that have kind of just come together as a family, and we produced a pilot for our TV show called The Other Side, which, as you said, is on Paraflix and on Amazon Prime. Um, and the concept is that Lee and I are two very seasoned paranormal investigators, but we also have a shaman, a tarot card reader, a Wiccan witch, an intuitive, and we are adding to the cast as we go along. We have a bone reader, we have a medium, we have a hoodoo practitioner. So we are always constantly on the lookout for people who communicate with spirits, but just in a different way.
A
Because we not
priest,
only want to,
demonologist.
yeah, a demonologist as well. Um, because we want to show people that these things are not what Hollywood perceives it to be. Um, we can all work together. We can all get answers from spirits, and let's see if we get the same answers. We may go into a location that is on Native American ground, and they may communicate with the shamans, but may not communicate with me. So why are we not all working together for this common goal to communicate with spirits?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, but it seems like you have a lot of different angles um, coming across
And it,
with the with the Wiccan and with
yeah,
the
and it
shaman
and it
and all
also
that.
is
Yeah,
a right, and it also is about education, because a lot of people think, oh, Wiccan witch, oh, she's a witch, she's going to cast bad spells. It's educating people about these different types of people and how they communicate as well.
right, right. And a lot of people don't understand. Excuse me, a lot about like the Wiccans and the witches and all that. I personally when I came across that and I heard that phrase and everybody knows that phrase is, oh, it's kind of taboo and this and
Hmm.
that, and I was there. I mean, I experienced the same thing, you know what I mean? But understanding and being in fear of it is just two different things. I mean, a
Right.
lot of people a lot of people are afraid to understand it because it is kind of taboo. I mean, and that can go with a lot of anything with spiritualism and all that. So it sounds to me like you have your pick of different spiritual levels on your team that can kind of tap into spirit activity and whatnot. And I'm sure that even with your list of people that you have on your team, um, I'm sure that at some point, even somebody might not get anything. I mean, and that's just kind of the way it works. I mean, we it doesn't always happen where you walk into a location and you're going to get something. How many times can you count? Have you sat there and got nothing? You know what I
More
mean?
Right.
times than not.
Right.
Right,
And this is
right, and
right.
yeah.
And this is another way to use those people's abilities as kind of a
Hmm.
beacon. We're shining it bright to the spirit realm, saying, hey, we're here, come communicate with us. And it also
Hmm.
allows the viewers to kind of connect with people, or maybe connect with the types of abilities that they have that they may be interested in but afraid to ask.
Hmm. Hmm. Right, and I think that's a lot of it too. I mean, having the different collective of different spiritualist people and that connection, and it just leaves everything kind of open. You're not limiting yourself at all. And I think that with what you guys have going on, the limitations are kind of are off. I mean, you pretty much can, take your pick, which is great. And that's not easy to get that whole kind of crew like that, to have the list that rattled off is, a lot of people would wish they had half of what you have,
Hmm.
so
Right.
but um talk a little bit more about the location you were at with this show, with this pilot.
Go ahead, Lee. I don't want to take the whole
Oh no,
hour.
no, no, no! You're good. You're good. Hey, I'm your biggest fan. I'm your supporter. Um, well, Regina came to me with it and said it was going to be a location to kind of be a surprise. Didn't realize what it was until we got there. It was the old Missouri State Penitentiary. It had been in operation well over 100 years. Had some amazing history, including James or no, yeah, which one?
James Earl Jones, I
James
think.
Earl Jones. I was scared I was going to rattle off Darth Vader's name, so that's what I was worried about. But yeah, I mean, he
Yeah.
was incarcerated there. There was a boxer that was incarcerated there. I forgot his name as well. But just walking up to this place, I mean, the energy that was radiating from it. It sits on a rock foundation right on the Missouri River, and the energy from it was just absolutely overwhelming. Just getting, within the block of it. We're on our way to the location, and we're all like, "All right, you got to go this way. This is where it's coming from." And it was just an incredible location to be the pilot episode of The Other Side. And
Mm,
I think Regina and Creep Street Production, I mean, they did an amazing bang up job with that,
right,
especially
right,
not letting anybody know what they're walking into until they got there. One thing
right.
that we did learn, though, we're going to make it not in the dead heat of summer.
Right.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Especially in Missouri. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
lived in Missouri, so I know the heat in Missouri. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was sweltering in the middle of the night. I mean, it was incredible,
Hmm.
but
Right,
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
right. Now, do you guys have other locations that you're doing? Are you working on doing a different episode of The Other Side?
Yeah, our production team has scouted out several locations, and one of the interesting things is that they won't let any of us, as the cast, know where those locations are because they don't want us doing any research or looking anything up.
Right.
Which I would
Right.
rather not know anyway, because I
Yep.
want to go in and I want to feel and I want to sense and I want to get the images in my head, whatever comes to me. So, yeah,
Right.
yes, but we don't know what they are.
No.
Right.
We have
Right.
all thrown out some different ideas, so they take our ideas into consideration,
Hmm.
you know. Um but again, like she said, who knows? They
Right.
point, we go.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's another thing too, is not knowing, especially, the investigations that I've done. I usually get my messages because I am a psychic medium, so I get my messages usually a day or a week before, and
Hmm.
then my camera guy will be like, I'll text him and he'd be like, "What are you working on? Are you working on something?" And he says, "I'm actually am working on something." He doesn't tell me. We just get in the car and he goes, and that's what I like about that. Not knowing is way better than, trying to do that research. I'll do the research afterwards, but the
Right.
mostly, that validation for what paranormal investigators and especially mediums and whatnot are trying to do is trying to verify the truth. And a lot of people, it's not just to go there to investigate to get the jump scares or to see a ghost or whatever. It's about telling the historical truth and trying to find out
Hmm.
what wasn't told. And
Right.
that's that, that to me that is important. And with my other show host, Kelly Schaefer, she is a historian, and she same way. She will go to a location with her team and you know don't want to know anything. And she's got
Right.
15, 20 people on her team, so it's just, yeah, to me that's a lot, but not all of them come at the same time. But when you
Right.
live down south, like in Tennessee, and there's so much more history, you
Mhm.
know, and yeah. So, is there some place that you guys want to focus on going, or is there an area that you like to go?
We were just
Like to
talking
or
about
able
this
to go?
earlier today.
Like to go or able to go?
Both.
There's Shiloh. I would love to do like a military, like Shiloh. It's a old Civil War military park. I would love
Hmm.
to go in there because just going in there, the energy that radiates to you, you feel it. The ground is blood soaked. You know that you're not there alone. And I grew up around that place, so I've been there many, many times, and that's one I would love to do. Although I don't know that it would ever happen.
Hmm.
But realistically speaking, Alcatraz, that's my mountaintop.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Tennessee
I've never
State
been there.
Prison,
Oh,
Really?
yes, I'm changing my answer. I forgot about that place. Yes,
which no one's allowed to go in, but
but I went by
But
there the other day, Regina. It looks like they're rebuilding that part that was destroyed by the tornado. So I'm hopeful.
so where are you guys located out of?
we're both located just outside of Nashville.
I'm in
Okay.
Nashville.
Okay.
Mm.
So, my other host Kelly, who runs K2 Paranormal Research, she lives in Portland, Tennessee,
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
that's not far at
and
all.
so right. So I mean, she's been to, I think last year she did Brushy.
We did that as
Yes, we
well.
did that last year as
Yeah,
well.
and yeah, she said it was great. I mean, the history of that place was incredible, and the things that I was getting because I was coming in as a remote viewer, and some of the things that I was getting, I was telling her some of the things that what to kind of look out for to stay away from. That place has got a lot of chaotic energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, especially the grounds around it. It's just the land is something about that land. I don't know.
Well, when you were standing out on the grounds, did you kind of look up around the mountaintop and feel something staring at you?
That's the whole time
Yeah.
when I was remote viewing that. That was the mountain, the hills right there. All that all is it was just like it's like if the hills had a thousand eyes.
Oh,
You
it
know what
felt
I
like they were
mean?
about to jump down on top of you. Absolutely.
Right, right, right.
Well, we
So
were outside taking a break, and we were talking about like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we heard something up in the woods, and not more than, well, it couldn't have been more than 5 seconds. We heard a big crash bang coming from the woods, and we're
Yeah.
like, okay.
yeah,
So we start thinking, okay, we're going to go Sasquatch hunting. We're
Right.
venturing out at
right,
this point.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be as of late. I've noticed that there's an uptick in Sasquatch um investigators. People are really getting into that now. Me personally, I could take or leave it. Same with UFOs, I could take or leave it. I'm more of a you know dealing with spirits and the other side type stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've noticed that there's a lot of people that, especially down by where my friend Kelly lives. She's like these people are just nuts. I mean, they're dedicated. I'll tell you what, they're dedicated.
Well, they
So
probably say the same thing about us. I mean, they go tromping through the woods, and we go tromping through abandoned
right,
buildings. So
Yeah.
right,
one
yeah,
and the same.
that's true.
But, Tennessee is such a hot spot on that as well. You got so many locations. You got the
Hmm.
Smokies to the east, the land between the lakes to the west. A lot of
Right.
them have a lot of activity as far as Sasquatch goes. And
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no, that's fine. It is there something that you both had experienced that you want to talk about when you were doing this first pilot?
Regina, your turn.
We actually, each of us took a group of different cast members. So Lee and I did not investigate that location together, but we did come up with similar evidence outside of one cell. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because we want you to watch the episode
Right,
as.
right, 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 right.
But
No,
Lee and I have been
sure.
on a lot of investigations together, and we have realized that together our empath abilities, when we investigate together, are like
Heightened.
tenfold heightened.
Mhm, mhm,
We can almost, it is almost like our souls merge together and we can
mhm,
guide each other in the same way. It's really a unique experience. I've never had that with
mhm,
No, I
anybody
know what
else.
Regina's feeling. I know where she's about to turn her head to look. You know, we've proven
mhm,
that many times. I never really thought about past life experience or anything like that until I met Regina. Whenever I met her, I knew that I've known her before. I've known her for a long time,
mhm,
and on a level that I cannot describe into words. And the more that we investigate together, and we've got some things that we're looking into as far as projects as well in the future, but the more that I investigate with her, it's like the more that we become one. It's about energy, and my
mhm,
energy and hers, it just heightens.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I'm like her. I've never had that experience before.
Right, right. Well, that and I've experienced with that before, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's a reason why. I mean, it's just basically with you two kind of just your frequencies align. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? It's just that's just the best way to describe it. And you kind of know what she's doing, and vice versa. She knows what you're doing. It's just so when you guys feed off of that. I mean, has there been a time where you've kind of just been astounded, like something happened and you really couldn't put wrap your head around it?
Yeah, the first time I ever investigated with Regina, it was in Virginia City, Nevada. We went up to the Washoe Club up there. That place has been spotted on, Ghost Adventures and things like that.
Right.
Um, that's the first time I'd ever investigated with her was across the country. And we're walking around this location together, and I'm just now meeting her. I'm just learning who she is. Walk into a room. There was a room of a former lady of the night, and I'm very careful of my terminology here.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Miss Julia. I remember that. Um, I'm sitting here talking to Miss Julia, and I am trying to elicit a response. I'm sitting here asking how much her ladies of the night cost, and how we'd be interested. And Regina turns and she looks at me with the most hatred look I have ever seen on anybody. I really, if anybody could have shot through my soul, it was her. Because I mean, I thought she was fixing to just pounce on me. Looked at me straight ahead, and I will never forget it. She said, "You are lying." And she was so mad about it. I said, "What?" She said, "You're lying." And I'm sitting here thinking I'm talking to Regina, right?
Right.
And I'm sitting here trying to talk with her and reason with her a little bit. And I mean, there was no reasoning with that. So we got Regina out of the room, and it's like a light switch. She was like, "What happened? What's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first really big interactions that I've never had that experience with anybody until I met this woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wow. That's kind of crazy. Yep.
I mean, Regina, what do you remember about that night? I don't know if I've ever actually asked you that.
Um, I remember you asking the solicitation questions, and I just felt an overwhelming fear, a feeling of anger that you were not going to give me the money. You were
I
not going
saw
to
that
do
in your
what
face.
you were going to say you were going to do, and that you were lying about it. And I feel like it was her, like she entered through me and was telling you that you were a liar. You were not going to do that.
hmm
Right.
I,
Right.
I truly saw that in your face, and that was
So what?
I was scared of you, Regina.
Yeah. So what could happen in instances like that? Um, because of who you both are. From what I see, is that when you go to haunted locations or locations that are really high frequency, you guys are very open. I mean, and it's I think that lady Julia was standing just close enough to her so that she could kind of just almost like a soft touch to be like, yeah, and then she'll know what she means,
Oh
and
yeah.
she meant business,
Mhm.
So the only thing with that is it's sometimes you have to be a little careful because if they could do it once, they might want to do it again. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you really have to kind of either I'm sure you guys ground yourself. I'm sure you guys protect yourself. Just kind of just be mindful of that, because I've seen other investigators who have experienced it and they don't know exactly how to deal with that when that happens. But it seems like you guys do, and Regina, it seems like you do. But I just kind of wanted to, because of who I am, and I try to help people as much as I can. And when I see certain things, the possibility of something maybe going awry, I have to say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just and instances like that, especially the Washoe, that place is crazy in itself. I've
Yeah.
never been there, and I pretty much have only kind of remote viewed soft spots of it. I haven't even physically been there, but I'm I know better.
It's
There's
not just the
there's
Washoe. It was that whole town. My gosh,
right,
that whole
Right.
town.
right. One of my places is Virginia City. So I mean I have an open invite from a friend of mine, and I want to be able to get out there, but it's just like when you're dealing with the Wild West or the Old West like that, there was so much anger and so much struggle in that sense. You know what I mean? And it's just it kind of like drips everywhere. You know what I mean? So when you go there, I'm sure you guys really tired after that? I mean, like drained?
Hmm.
I'm tired after just about any investigation.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
And part of it is because you guys are both open, but you're connected. But that's where you guys are grounded. Is where your connection with each other. That's part of your grounding. You
and
know what I
that goes
mean?
into protection as well. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So just be mindful of that. You know what I mean? When you're in a location where that kind of outside spirit can interfere like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Yep.
never
So
solicit them to use my body. It's not something
right.
that I
Right. Oh
want
yeah. Right.
or
Right.
even, remotely want to
Mm-mm.
ask them to do.
Right.
I've asked them. I've offered them energy, and that's as far as I took it.
Yeah. No, I don't even do that.
I don't
No.
do that as well.
No.
I
Mm-mm.
But
have, and
the,
it's worked. But that paranormal hangover is real.
right. But the reason why I mentioned the Wild West, because of the fact that um I get the word scrupulous, and people are just kind of, they don't care. It was a lawless time. It was, so you're going to get that energy. So
Mhm.
that way, I would be really on guard, kind of, just because of the fact that even when I was in Tombstone, yeah, there were some spirits there. It was kind of cool. I really I loved Tombstone, but it wasn't. There were, even going to Boot Hill Cemetery, that was okay. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't, everybody was talking about it. I mean, so it's kind of like if you go to a place like Virginia City, that place is still hopping. I mean, still hopping. You know?
And Lee even saw a UFO out there as well.
Hmm.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, you are in Nevada, so
Well, I mean, there's nothing to explain what I saw. So
right, right. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, Virginia City is one of my all-time favorite on the bucket list, and um, I just know that I know the clientele that's there. You know what I mean? And they're kind of scary, and I'll be honest. I mean, they're kind of ruthless. You
Jay,
know.
I'm still thinking about that question you asked about the bucket list. I want to change my answer again, but there's so many.
Go ahead.
Skinwalker Ranch.
That I will not touch. That I will not even go anywhere near.
I'll go
Nope.
with you, Lee.
Okay,
No. No.
we'll look out for each other, Regina.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's a whole different gamut of energy that I don't want nothing to do with. Yeah. That's a whole different level of. Yeah. I'm over here doing what I got to do, helping people and helping spirits and this, and I'm happy with this. That over there is something that's. Yeah.
But
It's
the
kind of like.
unknown and the intrigue just draws you in, though.
Nope.
Mhm.
Nope. I don't care. Nope. No. Oh no, 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 no. I mean, that is something, because of the fact of what I've experienced in my life when I was younger, and experienced the darkness, and experienced it firsthand. Um, part of that can drip all over there, and
Oh yeah.
I don't probably entertain that. You know what I mean? I don't put myself in that position. But hey, to each his own. You know, if that's something you want to do, then
Well, like I said, when I go with somewhere, somebody like Regina, well, not somebody like her, just her, I know that I'm
right,
in good hands. I know that
right,
I'm protected.
right, and that's a strong thing to say because I could see it between you two. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of a given. You know what I mean? Is there some place that you uh, have been wanting to go to that's close to home?
I've been wanting to go to Randolph Infirmary in Indiana. That's one of my bucket list places that I'm gonna hit
Okay,
sometime, hopefully this year.
right, right,
Yeah,
okay,
there's a old sanitarium down in Selmer, Tennessee. I would really like to visit. Again, I grew up around that place, and but I don't think it's open to the public. But it's
mhm.
there, and the energy around that place is, yeah, it's off the chart.
Do you guys attend any paracons or anything?
Oh, Regina, there you go.
I have attended quite a few of them. We actually hosted our
Yeah.
own Paracon Expo, however you want to call it, 2 years in a row. Was it last year or the year before?
Year before.
The year
Yeah,
before we hosted it in Nashville, and it was I think it was pretty successful. I mean,
it
we
was
had
a six. Yeah,
right. I mean, we had
What was
at
it called?
least it was called Tennessee Haunts and Legends.
Paranormal Expo. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yep,
what we did.
I think Kelly, my friend
Hmm.
Kelly, was there.
Yeah,
K2
she
Paranormal.
was
Yep,
So
actually.
we
Yep,
we
yep.
we
took the
had a
money
big.
raised from that and we put it toward two different charities. One is an animal charity because help the furry guys, and the other half went to a haunted location. So we did that twice in a row, and it was very successful. I mean, a lot of people came about, and a lot of people have reached out to do it again. But it is so much work, and with other adventures that me and Regina are planning out, it's really hard to put in that kind of time.
Right, right. Because I'm assuming you guys both have secular jobs. You know,
Oh yes.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, like I said before, if you're independently wealthy, yeah, sure, go for it. But
Hmm.
nowadays, I mean, that hobby is far few in between. And
Well, it's an expensive hobby anyway. I mean,
oh yeah,
anybody who sees it on TV and wants to try to start doing it, I mean, you better be prepared to invest thousands of dollars in equipment.
hmm
hmm
Locations are not free. They charge hundreds of or even upon thousands of dollars to get in there. You've got to have people to go with you so you can afford it. So it's a very expensive hobby.
right. And I think a lot of the people now that own houses and businesses or buildings like that, they knew that that was a money making business.
Mhm.
And that's what they do. And to each his own. I mean, that's their business. That's what they want to do, and kudos to them. But yeah, people just getting started. Yeah, be prepared.
But there's so many ways to kind of minimize the cost in a way, as far as equipment goes. Remember, Gina, we've been looking at ideas on, um, for lack of a better term, dumbing it down. Going a lot more basic. Anything from a hotel bell to wind chimes. Just anything that can eliminate some of that cost, and you
Right.
get just as strong results. I mean, for a long time, up until a couple of years ago, when my old teammate took it from me, I was using a cassette tape recorder still.
Oh
Just
yeah.
because that old fashioned cassette tape recorder
Yep.
captures a lot. Exactly.
hmm
Mhm.
Yep. Analog. I love it.
Absolutely. 100% all day.
I was looking at one not too long ago, one of the micro disc or micro cassettes, and
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to
and
find the cassettes, it's hard anymore.
yeah, I find them on Macari. I find them in like a bundle of like 10, a pack of 10 for like $30.
And
You
then you
know.
get some of the millennials, they're like, what's a cassette? And I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, it makes you feel old. I mean,
It does.
seriously. But
But yeah, you got to have fun with it.
right, but the stuff that we used when we were kids or when we were younger, yeah, the tape recorder, that's great. I mean,
I mean, a
that's
ball, just a ball.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many different ways to to investigate without having to spend a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can do it.
but I like my equipment. I got to admit,
Right,
I
right.
was actually online shopping for it earlier.
I'm always kind of looking for different things, but I've had the EDI, I've had the SV7 twice.
Hmm.
Um, I've had the REM pod, the red and black REM pod. I got rid of it all because I don't use it enough. You know what I mean? And somebody needed to use it, and I wasn't using it.
Well, the more that me and Regina are doing it, the more one thing that we're actually trusting more than any piece of equipment is our own bodies, and
And a lot of
especially
people are doing that too right now.
investigating with somebody like Regina. I mean, we validate each other a lot,
Hmm.
and like Tennessee, Rushy Mountain. I mean, that was no exception. I mean, that was
Hmm.
we were like interlocked as one person on that night on a level that neither one of us experienced before.
Right. So let me ask you, where you both individually live, is there any activity where you guys live?
Yeah.
Not in my home. I do sage. I do protection. Obviously, you can get hitchhikers, but
Right.
I try really, really hard not to bring anything home.
Right. Those are far few in between.
Hmm.
You
I
know.
have a roommate that rents my other bedroom, and he says that I bring work home. I had lots of noises here. When not we, me and Regina, we investigated a undisclosed cave here in Tennessee, and when I came home, I just walk into my bedroom and my television comes on right in front of me, and it's a smart TV. It's smarter than I am. You have to change the HDMI to put it on TV, but there it was. It was on a TV channel. It's never done that before, and that was the night of that cave, Regina.
Hmm.
Um, but I've also, got a few possible haunted objects here. I've got this Raggedy Ann doll that Regina says I'm crazy for having. I've tried to offer it to her and she won't take it.
She's shaking her head. And I know you could see that. She's
Nope.
shaking her. Yeah,
No.
she's no. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I found her at an antique store that I've investigated many times. I walk in and I asked the lady Shauna. I said, "I'm going to walk around." So I walk around and I looked at this doll and I said, "When did she get here?" She said, "She got here yesterday." I said, "I want her." So I bought her and she sits in my living room and she looks out for things. So yeah, I've had several experiences here.
Right.
Nothing bad,
So
nothing bad.
no,
But I've
no,
also
but
had it witnessed, and that's what I really like. It was other people have seen it as well.
hmm so um, my mother had dealt with antiques for pretty much her whole life. I mean, a long time, and she had her own antique store. And in high school, I used to have to babysit her small shop when she would run errands downtown, the town that I live in now. And I hated it because I would hear things, I would hear footsteps, and at that time, we weren't really putting together objects. I was just thinking it was the building, which could have been, but there were so many different antique pieces in there that after I realized that years later, I'm like, I bet half of those were had had activity on them,
Hmm.
because she had a lot of dolls, a
Oh yeah.
lot, and yep. So I love to antique, I love to go, shopping for antiques and things like that. But I have to be mindful. I'm like, that's where my gifts come in. Am I going to pick something up? So if I don't feel anything with it, if I like it and it's like, yeah, there's nothing with it, then yeah. But if I see something with it, which I have several times, it's kind of like I'll go to a big antique mall and I'll be like, oh, I really like, and I'll stop myself and be like, yeah, and I'll turn around and walk away because I don't need to take that home, and my wife would kill me if I did. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So
if it
yeah.
calls out enough, I feel it, I will. But that happens very few times.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, different frequency with uh, inanimate objects. There's limitations with that, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Hmm.
It's not so much of a full blown apparition. It's more like kind of like living in a cage. You know what I mean? There's
Exactly.
certain things that they can do and certain things they can't. They can manipulate things, but not like, I don't know. I don't do dolls. I don't do all the whole one that the most popular one. I don't even. Starts with an A.
Annabelle.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't even.
No, I don't touch that.
You know that even going to um, Zach Bagan's haunted museum, the
Have you
energy
been?
there. No, the energy that I've seen and met people and talked to people who've been there, and they really like it. They had some weird experiences.
Yep.
One of them passed out, and I'm like,
I have been, and that building is, if you have any sensitivity, you're definitely going to feel things.
right,
I walked into one room and smelled burning flesh.
that's
Like
nasty. Yeah,
it is definitely full of haunted objects, and now you can ghost hunt it.
Now,
yeah.
see, just thinking about going into it, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit tachycardic. My heart's starting to race faster, and I don't even know where the building is except for in Las
Mhm.
Vegas.
Yep.
Right. And there's a reason why you're feeling that way because of the fact that you're open and you're sensitive to that. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I personally, you know, Zach Bagans can do whatever he wants to do. You know, if that's his business, that's great. You know, this and that. You know, and I've interviewed people that skeptics that said there's nothing there, and I'm like, okay. Even I haven't been there. I've been to Vegas, but I haven't been there. Even I won't go down that street. I mean, there's certain things that I just don't. I don't want to interact with, and I don't want to put myself in that position. And a lot of people, not knowingly, willfully put themselves in that position, and it could actually do damage. You know, and people can actually be so affected it could cause your health problems. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
You have
But
to
I
So
sign
was,
a waiver before you go
yeah.
in there.
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would still go.
So
I would
yeah.
go again. It's amazing.
Right. Um, that's another place that I don't have any desire to go to. I just I don't put myself in that position. You know, I'm very protective of myself, and I've seen a lot of people who aren't. But if they're able to protect themselves in a way that they're not affected very negatively, you know what I mean, or sick or whatnot, you know what I mean. That's great. It's to each his own, you know. But
Mhm.
there's other places that I would like to go to. Um, and there's places that I've been to, like the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park.
I've been as well.
I've been there twice and loved it. If
Mhm.
I could move in, I would. I mean that place is awesome.
Well,
You
they want
know,
a caretaker every winter, I hear. So no, I'm kidding.
right? And right. But it's the mountains in itself. You know what I
It's
mean?
beautiful there.
Right.
It's
The
just
energy and is
Well, sitting on
beyond.
solid rock. I mean, how can it
Right.
not?
Right. Right. There's so many different great things of like Colorado and the mountains. Um, there's Central City, which is a great town. You know, I mean, there's so many different places. Winter Park was got great history. You know,
mhm.
I mean, it's just, but the energy there is great. I love it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, very much.
but but there's a lot of people that go to these different places and don't realize that the history there is just as moving as some of the paranormal places. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hmm.
So um, do you think like with the as of late with the paranormal field, so to speak, do you think more teams are getting more into the research aspect of the history, or do you think it's kind of been the same over the last 10 years?
I think I've seen an upturn in teams that have a designated historian, someone who does all the research and knows everything about the location. Um, my team, PPF Investigations, is a small team. We're only three females. And again, I don't want to do any research. I don't want to know anything about it. But I have seen, some of the bigger teams, there is a designated historian.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that I think that's just the way to go. I mean, I just think that is, finding out the history. I mean, not so much when you have mediums on the team. I mean, that there's a certain way you do it with mediums and gifted people like that. But I mean, investigation. at the end of the day, when it's all done, said and done, finding that truth or the story that was untold about that location. That's where it's at.
Right.
Well,
People
I
want
mean,
to
it's like
see, yeah, people
I
want to
want
see
to know
TV
about the.
programs about that,
See, I want to know about the history of it, but like Regina said, I want to go in there and I'm going to find it. I'm going to sit here and comb through the evidence. I'm going to, find if I hear a name or just something
Right.
that is pretty prevalent. And then, at that point, once I go through that, that's when I want to go through and research the history of it. I definitely want to know it, but I want to know what we captured first. So I'm all
Right,
about the
right,
history of it, not just, just
right.
having any kind of preconceived notion on it. If somebody says, go in that garage, don't look for the red car, I'm going to have that right in the forefront of my head.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right, right,
And
right.
like on our show, The Other Side, like we have added a historian to the cast, but she is not an investigator. She won't be a part of the investigation. She will do
Right.
her research separately, and
Behind the
then
scenes.
the
Yeah.
evidence that's captured will be, put up against
Right.
what history
Right. Right.
reads.
And
Right.
one thing about the show I'm looking forward to is adding a skeptic.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's gonna be on the future plans as well. Just a true skeptic of it.
Yep.
Let us make a believer out of you.
Right. 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 And I mean, and that people will want to see that if you once you come up with, you know, all of what you find out, and then you have that backdrop of the truth that matches with that. That's what people want to see on TV. They want to see the real truth of what's hiding underneath this history. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if you can verify that, then I don't see why you guys can't be on A&E. You know what I mean?
Well,
Seriously.
one
I
thing
mean,
that
if
I
you have the connection, please let me know because I'd love to pitch it
Yeah.
to
one thing
them.
that I actually found amazing about doing it without I love Regina's idea. I mean, it's sheer genius, the idea that she had having all these people come together. But one thing that I noticed about during that investigation, how we had a card reader on at the time, and she was wanting protection. She lit up her sage and she went into, and this kind of frustrated me, but it's all about learning each other as well. So she lets up her sage and she's smudging the place before we investigate it. I said, I told her stop. I said that's not what I want to do. If it needs to be done later, I mean, I'll sage for protection after the fact, if especially if we see something going south. But
Right.
I don't want to calm everything down before the investigation starts. So just that right there was just a big learning curve on learning what the other ones are into.
Right. You kind of want to go into it raw. You want to,
Exactly, and that
you know
was
what
the
I
point I
mean?
was
And
trying to make.
right, right. I mean,
And
but
the only way that I told her, and this is behind the scenes, but
hmm
actually, I don't know if I want to say that or not because I'm not sure if it is or not. But like I said, I just told her, I said, like what you just said, basically is raw. I
hmm
want to go into it unaffected. I want to see if something reaches out to us,
right,
and if we need the sage at that point, fine, great, hundred
right.
percent.
That's probably the way to do it. You know what I mean? Even if you walk into a location and somebody says, "I've heard so many bad things about this place," and that it's got zero, negative energy and this and that, da da da. That's a great statement. But if you don't have the proof to back it up before you investigate, where it requires you to sage, then it's not going to get saged.
But she was also appreciative as well because she didn't see it from our point of view. So I
Right,
mean, it was a learning
right,
curve all the way around.
right, right. And so, yeah, and not to say anything about her, but that's what you said. It's a learning curve.
It
You know what I
is
mean?
absolutely.
You know. So there's other people in the paranormal field, especially the younger generation that want to get into this and learn about this or that, and it's kind of up to some of us older folk to kind of guide them and to help them not to do it the way we do it, but just to do it, or just
Safely.
to learn the way to do it safely and to, but there are some teams and some people out there do it my way or the highway, and I don't agree with that. And I
Mm-mm.
know that they're out there, but there's also regular businesses in the world that are like that. Do it my way or the highway with no room of learning. You know what I
Well, it's
mean?
kind of like
So
some of these younger folks. They want to conjure whatever, to actually get some activity. That's something I will not touch.
no, no,
To a degree, I will elicit to what's there, but I'm not going to try to create and bring something out to me.
no, no, no,
But the
no.
truth is like none of us are experts in this field. And
Exactly.
the
Oh,
only
if
thing we can
anybody's
do is learn from each other.
Yep.
And if
Yep.
anybody ever says they're an expert, I'm going to turn around and walk away. I will not listen to that.
Right, right, right. I'm an expert at nothing.
Same,
you know,
same,
um, maybe bad habits, but that's
same.
just. But no, seriously. I mean, there's it's up to a lot of some of the older paranormal team, the groups, and the male and females that are kind of setting in the way for some of these younger generations that want to follow in that footstep. You know what I mean? Of
Hmm.
the paranormal, but you're gonna have kids that want the fame and they want it now, and it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
Well, let
And
them get the network. I mean, if they,
right,
if
right,
I mean, but
right.
yeah, I mean,
But
it is a
yeah,
big, it's a big learning curve. I mean, if you go in, with this preconceived notion, yeah, I'm just going to do whatever. I'm going to break out the Ouija board or whatever, just to create something. It's going to cause problems.
right,
And
right.
even other times it can cause a problem anyway. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep going.
No, 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 that's fine. No, you're my guest. You guys can keep going if you want. I don't care. you know. So, you talk about Ouija boards. Yeah, that's another thing that I've ran into a bunch of younger kids in my last few years in the paranormal, and they rave about it and this and that. I'm like, you guys have no idea. You
I
know.
bought one at Walmart or somewhere. It's made by Parker Brothers. It glows in the dark. Got it home and got to researching it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to use this. It's sitting in the top of my closet right now. I'm scared to throw it away. I don't want it to come back.
Well, you got to
So,
burn it.
well, I haven't used it yet. So, as long as it sits there, it doesn't bother me. I don't bother it.
Well, what I tell people all the time is that what most people don't understand is that when you open a door, you've got to close it. And most people who experience things with Ouija boards, they don't. They just go in, oh, talk to me, da da da, and put it back in the box and walk away. Well, you've
Hmm.
left the door open. You've
Right.
got to close it and say, we're done. You're not going to stay here. We know whatever you choose to
Right.
say.
Right.
Um, but it's so important to close that door and not allow the communication to continue to come
Yeah,
through.
we can blame the board makers of not putting the closing instructions on the back of the box.
Hmm.
Mhm.
They can tell you how to use it, which opens it, but
Yep.
Right.
they certainly don't tell you how to close it.
Exactly.
Right.
And they can say it's just for entertainment service, certain reasons. If you really actually look at the history of it, it was never meant to be a toy.
No, but let me ask you this though. Regina's made this point as well, and Jay, I just want your opinion. A lot of what we do as investigators is pretty much the same thing though as a Ouija board. You're trying to elicit a response. I mean, do you see it as the same or a correlation with that, or do you see it as different?
No, because you're not creating an action. Okay, you have an inanimate object that you're actually using what is a planchette,
Uh huh.
which is actually, if you think about it, is actually a triangle.
Hmm.
Okay, so that in itself is an object that kind of transcends a meaning. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that there's a difference.
I don't
Because a
like the
lot of
fact that they have to use your body, your fingers, your fingertips, whatever, to manipulate it. Where a lot of
Right,
our equipment is we turn it on, set it down, and we're not touching it.
but
right.
dowsing rods, Regina.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
dowsing rods were basically great ways to find water. You
Yeah,
know,
Mhm.
but it uses the human
so
touch.
right, but that's where the frequency from the earth and connect with the dowsing rods, and that I think that is kind of a twofold thing. You kind of get different frequency from different areas, and if you're getting a spirit frequency that can manipulate those dowsing rods, then that's the way it goes. You know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah.
for the most part, it was basically to find water. And I've always known that, but it's just
No,
the
I've known that.
frequency
My grandmother was a
frequency
water witch.
Yeah, frequency with frequencies with the earth, and the dowsing rods and all that. I mean, a
I
lot of people.
love the dowsing rods. Oh, they're one of my favorite pieces of equipment.
I can't. I used to have a pair, and I tried to use them, and I they don't resonate with me for some reason because I don't know. But then I can hand them off to somebody else, and
Hmm.
they automatically, boom. I'm like, so I don't know, but all right, folks. Well, this has been a great, pretty much an hour.
Hmm.
We've had, great conversation. I'm really excited to know about your next location. You
So would
know,
we.
and
Well,
um,
we do have an event coming up if anybody's in the Middle Tennessee area, if they'd like to come out and actually go on a ghost hunt with us. It's on March 29th and it's down in Pulaski, Tennessee. You can get the details on either of our Facebook pages. Mine's PPF Investigations. Lee's is Medics, the number 4, Paranormal.
Mhm.
There's a link there to buy a ticket. So if anybody's interested and wants to try a ghost hunt, come on out.
Absolutely.
nice, nice.
And of course, we want you to watch our pilot episode on Amazon Prime and Paraflix called The Others with an S on the end side. Um,
Nice. Nice. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna check that out definitely. Um, but I want to say thank you both for coming on
Of
and
course.
hanging out with me and talking with me about different things. Um, like I said, everybody, you could find that episode, that pilot episode, on Amazon and on Paraflix.
Hmm.
Um, you want to tell a little, or just basically kind of give your locations of where people can find you both?
sure. My team page, again, PPF Investigations. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We have a website, Lee.
Oh, yeah. Mine's Medics for Paranormal. It's Medics, plural, with the number 4 and then Paranormal after that. At one point, we were a total team of first responders. And well, actually, I've only ever had first responders as team members, but I'm venturing out a little bit, opening that door a little bit. But on Facebook, working on TikTok, and Regina is in the process of helping me broaden my social media outlets, platforms.
Nice. Fantastic. All right. Well, everybody, you know where to find them. And make sure you check out that episode on Amazon and on Paraflix, the others side. So,
Uh, well, Jay, thank you for having us. I mean, it's been really fun. And Regina,
yeah,
always a pleasure.
yeah, I truly appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with me. So,
Oh, anytime at all.
all right, folks.